This story started a couple of years ago with an idea and hours of planning. On May 6th, it became a reality. On my bike. On May 5th, I got on a plane with way too much gear and flew from Columbus to San Francisco with a layover in Denver, a city I will be just a few hundred miles from in just over a month. As I flew over the Rockies, I looked through the clouds at the landscape below, excited about what lies ahead, but also with reservations. Have I taken on too much? Ran through my head again and again. Once I arrived in San Francisco, it was a quick trip to the hotel and then off to Mike's Bikes to pick up my bike. I enjoy riding in big cities, but it's rush hour and I really have no safety net, no one to call if things go sideways. Google Maps routed my ride back to the motel on streets that had nice bike lanes and were very bikeable. In fact, rush hour in San Francisco includes a bunch of bike commuters. Riding in the city was a ton of fun. A quick 3.5 miles is exactly what I needed to get this trip rolling. My first day's ride of 40 miles will take me around the bay and across 3 bridges. After 2,000 feet of climbing in equal descent, I'll end my day in Vallejo, California. The day started out with perfect weather and a visual milestone of the trip, crossing the Golden Gate Bridge. But first, I wanted to stop by the bay and take in the scenery. I was later told that there were not many days you could see the entire bridge because of the fog. At the park, I asked a man to take my picture. He was also looking out over the bay, and I assumed he was a tourist. He mentioned he was a local, but had seen the waterspouts from the whales as he drove over the bridge and stopped in hopes to catch a glimpse. I couldn't have timed it better. A whale sighting in the first hour of my 100-plus day trip. What else could this trip have in store? I felt like I was 10 on Christmas morning, and I couldn't wait to see what was around the next bend. The path along the bay led me closer and closer to the Golden Gate Bridge and eventually up a steep hill. This was my first test, but I felt good. My confidence grew. Crossing the bridge was just as I had hoped it would be. It's completely worth the effort versus riding a ferry across the bay and skipping the bridges.
Headed south on Highway 95, just outside the St. John County line. Top roll down, the sun is shining, letting go of all those winding roads. I keep running out of reasons why even stay, it's time to go. Like a warm summer breeze blowing in, or an overdue embrace from a long lost friend. You don't know the feeling unless you've been in the wind. Took a while for me to finally see I was holding on to things that wasn't me. Severed ties and bridges burned, leaving all the stones unturned, only to find that I was always free. Like a warm summer breeze blowing in, or an overdue embrace from a long lost friend. You don't know the feeling unless you've been in the wind. In the wind, I'm finally flying high above the clouds, and I am far from all the trouble down below. I don't need a big jet plane to take me to another place. All I need is this old blacktop road. Like a warm summer breeze blowing in, or an overdue embrace from a long lost friend. You don't know the feeling unless you've been in the wind. In the wind.
incredible. That view is unbelievable. I rolled through Sausalito, a quaint town that sits between Highway 101 and the bay. It provided some great views, bike lanes, and a bike path with trees in the middle. I made a quick stop at Mike's Bikes to refill my water bottles once I got past security. Then it was back on the bike path that I was happy to have for most of the day. So this is almost mile 11 coming out of the city. And this is the first, everything's been crosswinds. I got a pretty heavy headwind coming down the hill just after the Golden Gate Bridge that made it a little tricky to handle the bike with all the weight on it, but just, you know, once you noticed it, took care of it. That was climb number 3 of 11 today, so not too bad. I'm sure if I have 11 of those though, it'll be a tiring day by the end I get to the end. So make sure I don't pick up any hitchhikers. I ended up with a wrong turn somewhere along the route and had to backtrack before I went over the second bridge of the day. The trip over the bridge was windy and different than I expected. It took me a bit to realize the traffic was only going one way. A rollover accident at the top of the bridge had the entire bridge backed up. A reminder of others' reality on my first day of being in my own. After crossing the second bridge of the day, I stopped at the first restaurant I saw along my route. Johnny Boy's Smash Burgers was good food and had some really cool artwork. It's not all bridges and cycling by the bay today. It's about a 3/4 mile long hill. Manageable, but certainly takes it out of you, slows you down. So I wrapped up the day with about 44 miles and 2,400 feet of climbing and 2,400 feet of descent as well. So tomorrow's going to be very similar. Staying at the California Motel. Tomorrow's going to be very similar distance-wise, very similar climbing-wise. So, but I will be camping tomorrow night. So I'm going to go grab some dinner and get some good sleep. Day 2 will take me away from Vallejo with several challenging climbs and up a very nice bike path along Highway 80. My day will end just outside Winters, California at Lake Solano County Park and Campground. Here we go, start of day 2. Hoping it's as smooth as yesterday. The weather's a little more overcast than yesterday, but it's supposed to be pretty similar overall, which I'm pretty happy about. Get a couple miles in this morning, then I'm gonna grab some breakfast here in town before I get out of town. Right out of the gate, we got a nice climb this morning. So I just broke rule number 1, or at least my rule. Had breakfast at McDonald's. Not a big McDonald's fan, but that was about the only place I could find to eat other than like a 7-Eleven or something. But so that's what I did. Tried to make good choices. After reaching the halfway mark for the day and dealing with more traffic noise than I think I ever have, I was feeling good and looking forward to the peaceful road and spectacular views of California's agricultural landscape. So I just cycled a very short piece with a guy who was out on his day ride, Clarence Williams. Very nice gentleman. He was surprised at what I was doing, but he stopped probably 3 or 4 times because we were on some fairly hilly sections, and got his phone out, was taking pictures, and must have been doing Facebook Live or something because he was kind of narrating it. But yeah, pretty cool. It's only the second cyclist I've seen today, but both were very kind and wished me well. So always good for the psyche a little bit to get somebody to cheer you on. So, but Clarence was originally from Louisville, Kentucky, so he's familiar with Ohio and moved out here several years ago. So got about 15 more miles to go, I think. that is my stopping point for tonight. Making good time today. We're about the last 8 to 10 miles. I've been riding in through this kind of this canyon between the mountains. It's been really nice. Pretty flat, a couple of small climbs, but beautiful area. About 8 miles outside of Winters. Traffic's been really good, pretty light. People are, you know, very courteous getting over. Shoulders decent size. So it's been a nice ride. I think I lost my tailwind for the day though. Just not much wind at all, which is okay. But it was nice while it lasted. Only about a mile to go to the campground tonight, but getting pretty hungry. Lunch was not appropriately timed, so I just got a bag of chips and a sweet tea at a Subway, and so it was good until real recent. So not a big deal. I'll go to the campground, and hopefully it's a county park as well, so hopefully there's campgroundy areas that I can feel comfortable putting my tent up and leaving it there. And then I'm going to go a couple more miles into Winters, which is the next town, and I'll grab some lunch and probably hang out at the library for a few hours, and then do some editing, walk around town a little bit. It's not a very big town, and then grab some dinner before I head back to the campground. So that's the plan. We'll see how well it goes, but right now I'm going to eat some trail mix. So the campground wouldn't let me check in for another 40 minutes, and didn't really want to hang out. But so I decided I'd go ahead and ride into Winters with all my stuff, and then towards the end of the day, ride back. They did confirm for me that they have a hiker-biker spot, which I'm sure doesn't have electricity, but that's okay. I'll get all my stuff charged while I'm in Winters. And it's $5, so can't get much better than that, especially with some showers and everything else. So pretty happy that plan came together. So Winters was like 4 miles from the campsite, so I could be in Winters by the time I would have gotten there and set stuff up and everything else. So, and again, I'm getting hungry for some real food. So I decided I was going to get some pizza for lunch. That way I could eat a big lunch, let it settle while I'm at the library, and then get a small dinner. I think dinner's going to include a milkshake somewhere, but wasn't sure where the best pizza was in town, and high school had let out. There's some kids walking along the road, so I asked them where the best pizza was, and they said Round Table. So here I am. After a large lunch and a few hours at the library, I headed back to the campgrounds. I would continue to be amazed at how different the landscape looked out west as the light changed throughout the day. Riding out west would never get old. Good, how are you?
Good, how can I help you?
Need camp for the night? So this is camp for tonight. Again, it's hiker-biker camp. So there's no electricity, but there are showers down the way, and I'm gonna go grab one of those in a minute. There's water. So, yeah, this will be first of probably the next 4 or 5 nights in a row camping would be my guess. Unless we get some really bad weather and I end up making a different decision, but so we'll see how that goes. This is the first time camping since the Great Raccoon Incident of October 2024. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it in the bottom of the or in the comments. So, but the patch for that is holding up well, looks like. So, but again, there's no chance of rain tonight, or no. Guess there's always a chance, but there's no call for rain tonight, so I feel pretty comfortable about that. So anyways, I'm gonna go grab a shower, and I'm going to call a night. And tomorrow is about 60 miles, mostly flat, so I'm gonna make some miles tomorrow. Get to go through Sacramento. It's a lot of bike trail and bike path tomorrow, so that's good and exciting. And then today's total was right at 50 miles. It was 40 miles to the camp, and then I rolled into Winters and came back and ran around Winters a little bit. So ended up getting 50 miles in, but time to shut it down for the night.